Since you're doing the races now, is it easy to just detach yourself from them, or is it hard? Like, do you get kind of like the competitive juices flowing while you're wearing your suit?
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about racing or driving a race car or wish I was racing. You remember when you were young and you had this girlfriend and man, you really, everything was great. And then, you found a few things that maybe you didn't appreciate or didn't like, or maybe she found something about you she didn't like or whatever, but y'all split up, right? And you're so relieved. You're like, man, that really wasn't working for me. I'm kind of glad I'm out of that relationship. Time goes by and you're like, man, I kind of miss that girl, or I miss that relationship, man. There were some cool things about it, because you only remember the good parts, right?
Yeah.
Then you make the mistake of getting back together. And in days, you're like, oh, damn, I remember that part. I forgot about that. I forgot about this and the other things that were annoying. And then you break up again. It's, I think, for me, racing's kind of like that ex-girlfriend. There were a lot of things about it that were frustrating, and God, losing sucked. And there were some tough days when it would eat at you all week. I know you guys can understand that when you have a game that just bothers you and you can't let it go. You can't wait to get back to play the next game or race the next race. You can try to redeem yourself. That's a frustrating, miserable existence sometimes. And so sitting here today at 47, several years removed from driving, I do miss it, but I know that I still know that I made the right choice and I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it's okay to miss it a little bit. I think that kind of helps me in the booth have genuine passion, right, for what I'm watching.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, because you can kind of hear it when somebody's into something. I totally get the analogy, because I almost came out of retirement. I went back for a second, and just in meeting with a coach, I was like, yo, fuck this. This is the thing I don't miss about football. But what do you miss about her? Is it like, like the wink, the smile, like the way she, like brushes her hair? Like, what is that one thing that you miss about NASCAR? Because I'm pretty sure you could, in your giant ass backyard, go drive fast.
Yeah, I tried to really articulate what it is that I miss, and when I think about it, it's I miss battling with somebody one-on-one. There's a trust with that person, and when you're out there racing, you're gonna put them in very difficult situations. They're gonna put you in difficult situations, but you trust each other not to take each other out. And even though that happens sometimes, but I enjoy battling with a guy, a real good, honest race, and beating and banging a little bit, getting some tire marks on my car. I love getting out of the race car after the race and walking around it and seeing all the marks and kind of like you got a football.
It's like a helmet.
It's just like the way you're describing that.
Hey, look at this helmet, bro. I used to, in training camp, stand in the mirror and look at the bruises on my forehead. How twisted is that?
If all the grass stains are on the front, that means you were kicking ass all day. If nothing was on your back, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if all the tire marks are on the left side, you were getting passed. All the tire marks on the right side, you were doing the passing. Yeah. And so I've been a big Washington fan all my life. And
Sorry about that.
It's been tough since 91, but Dave Butts gave me a helmet, game-worn helmet from, I believe, the 1985 season. But this thing is beat to heck, man. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is exactly like, when you look at that helmet, it's the same thing as getting out of the race car and looking at the scars on the car and looking at the beating and banging that you've done on the race car. There's some pride in those hits and those moments that created that, that dent or that mark on the car. And so I miss stuff like that, the nitty gritty and the dirt that you get under your fingernails. And I don't miss, the meetings, you got to live it. You can't half-ass it. You can't be in there halfway. It's got to be part of every day. It's got to be a priority every minute of the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Family's got to sacrifice, friends got to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice any kind of social life. All all the things that you want to be doing otherwise have to take a back seat. So sim racing and things like that I love to do, hanging out with my buddies, drinking beer, stuff like that. And that doesn't happen as much when you're a hardcore racer.
All right, so tell me this: you really got the Washington broadcast piped into your car while you're driving?
Well, so my spotter at the time, is a Bills fan. He's from Buffalo.
TJ, shout out to TJ.
TJ, yeah. And so me and him both love football, love the NFL, love our teams. And he goes up to Bills games in the middle of December on purpose, right? It's like he has to go to a game that's 8 degrees, 2 foot of snow. He makes his wife and everybody suffer through all that. He doesn't even drink. I don't know how he does it without having some sort of alcohol in his system to be in a situation that ridiculous. But he's dedicated, and so he can appreciate my dedication. And so I would say before the race, we would talk about who our teams were playing and our fantasy lineups and all that we've been in a fantasy league together for 2 decades. And so under caution, I would be like, hey, TJ, what's the score of the games? And if Washington was winning, he'd tell me. If Washington was losing, he would just say, you don't want to know. And he wouldn't tell me how bad they were
just
getting
keep hitting your marks.
So he didn't. Well, what's the angriest you ever were about Washington while you were actually on the track?
Oh man, I can't remember exactly the race, but there was a game they were playing some 1-10, 2-8 team and getting beat by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
The Rams. It might have been the Rams. I might have been in that game. I might have been on the other side of that motherfucker, dude. Y'all were the only team we could beat early.
They were so, oh man. I mean, everybody's team's like this. They win games they shouldn't, and they lose games they shouldn't, and it's just so frustrating.
We've got a Carson Wentz character coming to town.
Yeah.
How we feeling?
I'm good with it. You got to look at the last, 15 quarterbacks we've had. So we're pretty much used to putting anybody back there and seeing what can happen. There's been years where we went into the start of the year with bigger question marks than Carson Wentz. And nobody really is talking about why Indy wanted to get rid of him. But he had some good moments last year. There were some bad moments too. But Heineke was fun. Great story. Is he going to take us to the promised land? I don't think so.
This is a big talk yourself into it. I like it. Hey, this is perfect.
You're not going to fool anybody with any ideas about Carson. Everybody kind of knows what he is and what he's capable of. I think if we surround him with a great team and our defense does what they're supposed to do, we could go places.
The defense is your hope. That defense is your only hope. Not
they're
only
scary.
Hope.
I don't disagree with that. I think our defense is, oh boy. The girls are having fun.
What's scarier, the Commander defense or Dale's house, dude? Right, so, speaking of the Commander defense, that fight on the sideline, you've seen worse fights? Like, what's the best fight you've seen on pit row?
Probably Daniel Suarez and Michael McDowell. And so, a lot of times when the guys get in arguments, it really never even comes to physical contact. There's people breaking it up or whatever. They just don't ever go there. But Daniel went over there to make it happen. It was interesting, man. I don't think any of us expected that out of Daniel.
He's got the I'm going to punch somebody.
Yes.
Oh, this is
shit! They're throwing down. He's beating the guy with the helmet up.
He's got some Greco-Roman skills.
He slammed the guy with the helmet.
Daniel does. I saw a hip toss in there. He got hand control.
And he broke. So in football fights, the big rule is don't take your helmet off.
Yeah.
Like our dad growing up was giving us tips.
Even in the friggin' line after the game, Dale, when you go shake hands, you double buckle that thing because you never know when you're going to run into an Aaron Donald who is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I know. So that's in NASCAR. If the other guy has his helmet off, you better get your helmet off because the social media and fans are going to go, why'd you keep your helmet on? Were you scared?
Got it. Oh, it's like it's like hockey or something. Like let's throw down.
Yeah. So it's just the same way. So if you see 2 guys arguing and one's got his helmet on and the other doesn't, you're thinking, well, the other guy's either he's smart, he knows this guy could throw a punch. But he's also going to catch some hell from social media.
I like when the guys just sit in the car and the one dude runs up and yells in the window and the other guy's like, I'm just here in my car. All right, man. Just get away from my car.
Dude, I love the fire in pit row. I think it's pretty cool. Well, I like being down in it. I got to go down in it when I was in Bristol, and I walked right by Richard Petty in the underground hallway. And that guy has a fucking like an aura, dude. Like that guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like when they said in the Dave Chappelle skit that like Rick James had an aura. I've been around so many people I walked by the King, right?
The King.
And the King had I got goosebumps. The King had a glow around him. He had his hat, people behind him. He just was walking from here to there. And you just kind of, the Red Sea parts, you're that's him.
I've heard some tall tales about his hat. Can you tell me about what's on his hat? I think it's somebody said it was a rat, like a raccoon
bone or something.
That hat has its own aura. You have the Richard Petty weather system, and then there's a weather system around his hat. But going down in there, I thought it was really cool, meeting a lot of the pit guys, because there were a lot of them. They were yo, we played each other. There's a lot of football players down there that are doing pit row. Talk about the demand for football players and athletes to come be those people.
So our pit crews changed the tires and refuel the car in a matter of 12 seconds. And so in the 80s, the same guys that built the car and took the car to the racetrack did that job.
Yeah.
And pit stops were 24 to 30 seconds. It just never dawned on anybody to go, you know what, this is an athletic thing. This is something that could get faster. We really need to try to figure out a way to find athletes to do this, to change a tire, to carry the tires around the car, to jack the car up, run this 80, 100-pound jack to run it around the car and do the job to get the car off the ground. A person like me, I couldn't jack a car. I don't weigh enough. I do not weigh enough to actually get the jack to pump and lift the car. And so it takes a beast. It takes a strong person with a lot of weight. Anyhow, over the years, guys started kind of filtering into the sport very slowly that had athletic backgrounds, played sports, whether it was pro sports, college sports. And now that's all we have. There's not a guy that goes over the wall that doesn't have some sort of athletic background. And which has been really entertaining because for me as a driver, I almost got two sets of guys. I got the guys that build the car, and then I got the guys that pit the car. And they're never the same people. There's never a guy that built the car doing the pit stop. They're all athletes. They work that's all they do. They train every single day. They practice pit stops every single day. And they'll do a truck on Friday night. They'll do an Xfinity car on Saturday, and they'll do a Cup car on Sunday. They'll pit all three of them. Then, what was even crazier is in the last probably 8 to 10 years, we've got a B crew. We've got second string.
Yeah.
There's a backup tire changer, a backup tire carrier, just like we basically just mimic y'all's model in the NFL as opposed, where we have a second string and a third string. And these guys, they have absolutely the same similar injuries with hamstrings and different things. And you'll bring that second string guy up, and he's trying to take that job. He wants to play on Sunday, right? It's the exact same.
And they give scholarships for universities that have these programs in place. I'm not sure the proper terminology, but I believe that NASCAR does have a way. If you want to get involved, Chris, NASCAR has a way.
I would like to leave this job.
Yes.
Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.